In a very playful manner, the film is about healing, although it's a very, very strange take on what healing might look like.
Dear Marianna, thank you so much for coming to Frankfurt. I'm very excited to talk with you about your two films. First of all, I would like to start the conversation about The Severed Tail. In the beginning, we can see one real piglet that has had its tail cut off. As a reaction to this pain, the piglet runs away and guides us through different worlds of vulnerability and desire. Could you please tell us more about its journey?
Yes, the severed tail moves from animal to human world. It starts off, as you say, documenting a piglet running away from its home. When they're distressed and feeling anxious, and too claustrophobic and too squashed inside a pig pen, they can bite each other's tails off, and so often they would remove their teeth and tails at age 3 days old or something. Where the pig goes is through a delirious fever dream of her own creation. So the pig jumps into a pond. We then discover it on the other side of a portal where it is played by Chiani del Valle, amazing performer who is dressed in full prosthetics as a piglet at a kind of fetish party.
So why did you choose this very, let's say, cruel practice of tail cutting as a theme and to relate it with desire?
Okay, so a lot of it comes to do with a feeling of compression and pressure of living in a body in our society right now, where there is so much against non-conformist bodies. There is so much pushing these people down, marginalizing them, making them feel like shit, making them feel like they don't belong. And then, by the same token, there are these worlds that these bodies can create, and communities and world building, new narratives, new stories that basically override all of that cruelty that's being imposed onto them by authoritarians or whoever it may be. So I think it's about a celebration of that, and really about saying, fuck it, like I can make up this story and this is the world I'm going to live in, and whether you believe it or not, it doesn't really matter. And so I met a lot of people that would identify as animals because they didn't like the real world. So I was casting a lot of the performers identify as animals. That's who they want to be. I went to pup play communities. I was perfectly situated in Berlin. It's not a surprise that a lot of the stories come from vulnerability and pain, with what on the surface, on the aesthetic layer on the surface, looks like a load of people just having fun. But it's really double-edged. It's never just simple why someone would spend their whole life getting the uniform to be a dog for the rest of their life. You know, that's quite a decision.
And which role does male dominance play in your work?
As a general statement about my work, I'm always toying with genders. I'm always aiming for a world that is more fluid, of characters that don't have to jump into categories just because they're told that they are someone or something, and trying to really push the threshold of what a body can be. I do not like to talk about myself as pro-femme, pro-female at all. I would say that I'm much more interested in collapsing boundaries and categorizations of subjects and bodies than I am in fighting for one gender over another.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are honored and pleased to welcome our judge for this evening, the founder of the International Breeders Association, Christina von Hoytler.
Now, I want to see you cute little pups put on the best show ever. Okay? Howl for me.
Let's talk about Prayers for Roadkill. So, how did you develop the narrative of Prayers for Roadkill?
I basically was thinking about micro-violence and all of the different types of violence between care and cruelty. And so a lot of the scenes were devised around this threshold or tipping point when something safe becomes unsafe. And often it is literally the blink of an eye or the shake of a baby. So yeah, the scenes are based on roadkill. So I basically made the roadkill die again. So they're all dying again and again and again through the film. It's these double, triple, quadruple deaths, and they all play different characters, from mums and babies. Like the same character might play a different thing. So you have the old woman carrying the shopping bags and not seeing the car, and then they kill. The second scene is based on shaken baby syndrome, which is a really awful phenomenon whereby mothers can sometimes rock their children, their babies, to death. Third one is where the house basically turns into cadavers upon touching all the objects in the house. This housewife is trying to make a cup of tea, and basically everything she touches turns into a carcass until the house just sort of eats her alive.
Which is also kind of surrealism theme, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. And then the fourth one is a waltz. It's a ballroom scene where they all have to play a game where they all had to try and steal each other's heads. So they do this little waltz together. And this was about multi-species and entanglement, basically. So all of the heads start jumping onto the wrong body. And the raccoon has got the pigeon's head, and the pigeon has got the fox's head, and they all dance around together in this happy sort of deranged manner.
Like, which animals did you use? Like, were they real or?
Yeah, all the animals were real roadkill. So I called up all my friends. We went on a big roadkill search, drove around for a bit in the countryside. We just drove and asked everyone. I just moved to Berlin, and I put a big sign out to everyone on all my social media platforms to please bring me roadkill. Everyone I met, someone got me a raccoon. I found a few myself on the road. I got a huge chest freezer, put it in the studio, and just threw all the animals in there, and taxidermied them all myself by learning off YouTube how to do it. And started with the mice, and then up to the birds, then the fox, then the raccoon. And the raccoons were big, you know, like wrestling with a bear. I mean, that was crazy. And some of them were smellier than others. So I basically cut them open by the belly, pull all their guts out, wire them up into puppets, so turn them into moldable puppets, and then fill them with synthetic stuffing. The colours and aesthetics were also designed from looking at children's creche play areas, but also looking at the colour design around modern asylums and places to put mad people, which have a strong similarity and resemblance. And again, this comes into these questions of care and cruelty. Where do we put the sick and the deranged and the mentally ill, or where do we put our children? Sometimes it looks exactly the same.
Which influence did the Looney Tunes have to you?
I was looking a lot at Looney Tunes and some of those heartwarming animation films that have this never-ending, that's all folks, or this, I mean, the circle at the end has this empty void to break apart each chapter, because this film is meant to be watched forever, interminably. That's how I imagine. And so when I present it in an exhibition space, it would just be on all the time. And it also gets shown with these animals that you can rock on. They're all like rocking chair animals that are me dressed up as roadkill, my body cast, full body cast in the position of badgers and birds and rabbits, and then dressed up as a soft toy animal. Don't know if you've seen them, but anyway. But I'm also interested in the warm, fuzzy, sort of film, cozy aesthetic to pull people in, to make people feel like this really is a children's program. And then you realize that what you're watching is like what we've done to these animals.
So do you think there is a connection between The Severed Tail and Prayers for Roadkill?
Well, I don't want to just become the animal queen, although it's all right being that title for this situation, but it's not that I work with animals. I work with stories around empathy, pain, trauma. What connects them is this emphasis on animality and a look into other species and a look at what they're doing and trying to find links between our lost tails as humans. You know, we all had tails in the embryo stage as humans, and we'd like to think that we are still above other species, but I'm after a more kind of nuanced or entangled world where we actually relate ourselves better to others. So I think in the same way that connects both projects. They've both been two of the most ambitious, for very different reasons, but two of the most ambitious projects I've ever worked on to date, and have taught me a lot, not only about my subject matter, but also about the process of how to work with this material and listen to the subjects that I'm working with, which is why they have quite a different visual outcome, but they remain true to their subject.
Thank you very much for the conversation, Marianna.
Thank you very much.